Fáilte. So today we're going to do a video on the Irish language, and one of our community members, Katya, who's a member of our mailing list over at Lora O'Brien.ie, had sent me in kind of a long question actually. So I'm going to, it was basically around the Irish language, so I'm going to just give you some facts and some resources first, and then we're going to look at the question, and there's some personal bits about my relationship to Ireland and the Irish language. So we'll look at both aspects, okay? So I will share my screen because I did a little mini slideshow, just because I like to be prepared, especially when there's facts and figures on the go. Okay, so the Irish language. And I have Irish underlined here because it is very, very important to most Irish people that we don't call it Gaelic. It's actually quite jarring when we hear people, and it kind of marks you out as, you know, well, just not in the know, I suppose, which is no harm either. Everybody has to, you don't know what you don't know, right? But in Ireland, we call it Irish or Gaeilge. Now, I've had people argue up and down and black and blue with this. And all I can tell you, folks, is that in all my born days here in Ireland, I have never heard anybody calling it Gaelic. Okay, so I'm not saying that nobody on the island, there's what, 6 million people on the island. I'm not saying that nobody on the island calls it Gaelic, right? But very much the standard is we refer to it as Irish. I am 41 years old, and my entire life I've only ever heard it called Irish by anybody, okay? So, or Gaeilge, because Gaeilge is the actual Irish language term for the language. So it's kind of disrespectful to just, when you hear that from an Irish person, to just ignore it because your granny told you that it was called Gaelic, and when she was a child in frickin' Donegal or somewhere. And that's what you're sticking to, right? Because this is a living language. Our heritage is not some, you know, stasis snapshot that has to be preserved that way. It is a living, breathing thing. And this is very, very relevant to the Irish language. We will come back to that. Okay, so the latest data, as far as I know, is from the 2016 census. So every couple of years we have a census, and the information that has come back from 2016, this video has been recorded in 2019, just if you're watching it somewhere far in the future, waves to the future. So currently the data that we have says Irish is understood by 1 in 4 people in Ireland. So that is about 1.7 million. The estimates really vary, but there are between 40,000 and 80,000 fully native Irish language speakers. So I would class that as people who are fluent and just as comfortable in Irish as in English. 2% of population uses Irish as their main language. So that's work, school, community, domestic language. Their primary language would be Irish, and that's 2%. And then Irish is the main language in Gael-talked areas, that's what we call. So there are communities still in Ireland where Irish is the main language, as I said, for domestic, for community, for work or school. And these are Gael-talked areas. And we also call them, there are Irish language schools as well who do all the education through Irish, and these are Gael-talked schools, okay? And as far as I know, there's probably at least one Gael-talked school in every county. Now, there's definitely more in some counties, and there might be 1 or 2 counties that don't have them, but they're pretty well spread out for Ireland. But excuse me, I'm still coughing. Can I get over this dose? There are, they're not enough of them, right? You know, but they are generally, when a Gaeltacht school is started up, it is it's community driven. So people within a certain community, certain area, certain region get together and decide that they want to do a school. So they go through the process then of starting up the school. Okay. So briefly, some resources that I'd like to introduce you to. And there's loads of like Learn Irish resources and all the rest of it, and I'm not up to date with them, to be perfectly honest, if you're just starting to learn the language. But I have a blog post on loraobrien.ie, which again might need some updating, but there's some good solid resources on there as well from a couple of years ago. But currently, my top go-to recommendation is the Irish 101 from FutureLearn. Sorry, it's right there. An Introduction to the Irish Language and Culture from futurelearn.com. And the 101 course it's a 4-week course, and it's free to begin with. They only run them, you have to sign up, you have to register, and then you'll be told when the date of the next one is and all the rest of it. And when it comes up, then you do it for 4 weeks. And it is a fantastic introduction. And then I think there's 102, 103, 104 if you want to go on and take them, and they're definitely worth doing. I've heard really, really, really good things from them. I'm not affiliated or anything to either of these resources. They're just resources that I've heard nothing but good things about people coming back. Now, I haven't done the FutureLearn stuff myself, but every time it comes up, I have people in my groups on Facebook and all the rest of it, and they are recommending it to, to other people in the groups because they've done it. It comes up all the time. So that's good. And Mother Folklore is, it started with Dara, who is on Twitter as at the Irish 4, I think. But you'll see it if you go on to the podcast. The homepage for the podcast is here. It's on the headstuff.org collection of podcasts, and it's Mother Folklore. So there's a link here, and I'm going to put these 2 links down below as well, so do go and check them out. The Mother Folklore here is a podcast. That's what I have linked to. It is really, really good, both for language and culture. Really funny, really accessible. And also like would give you an insight into how the language is being lived here, right? So that's really interesting and important. And there's also then books. The first book is called Mother Folklore. I'm not sure, there is a second book out, but I'm not sure what it's called, but I will put links to them below. Now they are, the books links are Amazon affiliate links, so I'll get a few cents if you purchase through that. So if you want to support me, that's an easy way to do it. But like I said, I'm not affiliated to Mother Folklore or FutureLearn personally at all. They're just, I really enjoy the books and the podcasts, and I'm sure you will too. So just to kind of come back to Katya's question, that's the basics, right? There were a couple of questions that they emailed me. So, do you speak Irish well to understand any Irish person? I'm not fluent in Irish, and I'm very clear about that. I have basic standard school Irish. I think I maybe have. I think we're very humble about we're very cautious, I think, actually, rather than humble about our use of the language, and there's all sorts of reasons for that. I do go into colonialism in other videos. I'll put a link above to that. One video in particular, but go through my channel, and there's reasons why we're a little bit ashamed of our own heritage. And feel free to explore my channel and other resources around that. There's also a class actually in the irishpaganschool.com called Decolonizing Your Druidry and Spiritual Practice, which if you're really interested in it, you should take that class, because it is it's an important area to kind of explore. But anyway, that's not the question. The question is, do I speak Irish well enough to understand any Irish person? No. I would not understand a fluent person who's speaking fluently, but I think for the vast majority of people who do speak Irish, I do speak Irish every day. I'm in kind of that category. So that's a little bit more than most people who would say that they understand Irish. So I may be at an average or slightly above average, I think, with regards to how well I speak Irish or what my fluency would be. And I am working on it. It is something that is very important to me, and I'm working on it all the time. What is your Irish background? I mean, are your parents or grandparents Irish? Yes, both my parents and grandparents on both sides are Irish. As far as I know, my ancestry is Irish back as far as we can tell. And that's another thing that's a little bit complicated as well. I feel blessed by that, and I feel that that's a very important part of who I am. But I'm also looking at my ancestry and wondering like how my ancestors got to stay, what do they have to do to stay, how lucky were we? There's all sorts of questions and queries that are raised by that. But just to simply answer your question, yes, all my ancestry is Irish back as far as anybody knows. How is Irish actually spoken throughout Ireland? So the statistics from the first pages there will give you a little bit of a background in that. I think I have to be completely fair. Most Irish people, I would say, don't speak Irish every day. Like a majority of Irish people don't speak Irish every day. Even people who know they're Irish and would be comfortable with their Irish wouldn't necessarily speak it every day. And that is something that kind of breaks my heart. And again, there's all sorts of reasons for that, going back and back and back. And we were made to be very, very ashamed of our own culture. We were made to feel that it was savage and barbaric, and that shit runs deep. So there are a lot of issues there and a lot of problems there. And the majority of Irish people would say that they don't speak it because there's all these justifications for it. Oh, I'm just not good enough. I don't have the confidence in it. There's this kind of Irish is only for kind of academics or like nerdy people or upper class people would speak Irish or would have the interest or the family support to be learning or speaking Irish on a regular basis, or they'll tell you that they blame the school system and it's just how it's taught, and I had teachers who were this, that and the other, and they, and that's all relevant and it's all valid and it's all probably their real experience. But I think most people kind of stop there and they don't look that there might be deeper, and I really believe that there are deeper reasons and deeper issues with that. So, I read somewhere about how the Irish language is dying out, but it's bullshit, isn't it? The Irish language is not dying out. There are multiple supports in place. The government, for all I piss and moan about the Irish government, it's one thing that they've actually done quite well is that there are relatively good Irish language supports in place. We do learn Irish. Every child going to school, sorry, not every, there are exemptions, but the vast majority of children going through the Irish schooling system, Irish is one of our subjects. We learn it. It's on our curriculum. We learn it as a language, as a second language, basically. And then again, there's the Gaeltacht schools are growing all the time, so there are more people who are getting their education through Irish. So it's definitely not dying. But as I've kind of hinted and gone into there, it's a very complicated subject. That's one of the reasons that I love Mother Folklore so much. On the resources that I recommended there is because they have things like pop-up Gaeltachts, where people just kind of randomly meet, and it's just an Irish language conversation evening, social evenings and stuff. And I think that is definitely how the Irish language will be revitalized and is being revitalized, and there's a lot of hope there for it. But there's a lot of problems as well. So yeah, it is bullshit. It's definitely not dying out, but it does need support, and it needs energetic kind of feeding and support and speaking and practicing and using. So if you do have cúpla focal, leabhar iad, if you do have a few words of Irish, speak them. And we actually have over on elanotter.net, and I'll add that link down below. We have some t-shirts with like Gaeilgeoir in training, and there's more Irish language stuff coming, because I actually want people to be able to advertise it a little bit. A Gaeilgeoir is somebody who is fluent in Irish. So our t-shirt with Gaeilgeoir in training is one that I particularly like, because I like people to know that I'm trying, that I'm trying to improve my Irish, and it's encouraging. It if you see, I mean, we're doing another one, Speak Irish to Me, or something along those lines. We're working on designs anyway, but there's going to be a few over on elanotter.net, and you go and have a look if you want to. If you do have the cúpla focal, if you have the few words of Irish, and you want to, practice it a little bit and kind of promote it a little bit and do your bit for it, that's one way that you can do it. And also support native creators, obviously, while you're at it. We're doing our bit here in the ground to try and keep the Irish language alive, and not alive, as I said, I don't think it's dying out, but keep it vital and keep it healthy and growing. Okay, so that's what we want. So do go over and check out LoraO'Brien.ie for blog, books, tour guiding classes, mailing list, and the links are all below. And if you like this video and want more like this, then subscribe and hit the notification, because you will get a notification, as the name would imply, when I release new videos. So generally this video is coming out Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, most weeks. So there's new videos every week, definitely. I'm aiming for a schedule of 3 per week on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So I also go live then kind of randomly when I'm out and about on the sites in Ireland. So you might want to check that out too. So slán go fóill, and I will see you in the next video.